Hey everyone, welcome back to Light Shine Desserts, where you can get your daily dose of baking, the Word of God, decorating, and much, much more. So today, we are going to be doing some test recipes. Whoop, 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 whoop. So this was way in the past, maybe some weeks ago, so I don't necessarily really remember. It was like right before school started the same week. But anyways, I'm going to be testing out my regular vanilla and chocolate cupcake recipe I had at this time and seeing like, okay, is this good? Would I really be confident enough to put this in my business when I start that? Is it like it's moist enough? Does it have a good sweetness, a good texture, good everything? And just more practicing with decorating, with frosting, with the cake itself. And yeah. So I think this cupcake recipe for the vanilla, it's already pretty usually it's pretty soft and moist, I guess, in a way itself, where I don't have to do the reverse creaming method. I was thinking of doing it for this time, but I was like, nah, let's just keep it the same so I can actually see what it's supposed to be like. When you're going to be doing this last part, when you're going to be scraping in the last amount of the batter into the cups, you want to make sure that you scrape it really nice, then it's all evened out, because the last one is really hard. The reason for that is because I cut down the vanilla cupcake recipe in half, because for me, mine uses 2 eggs, and when it has an even amount of eggs, you can cut down the recipe in half, which is good when you're doing tests, or you only want a small amount of cupcakes, or who knows what you want. But you can make it so it's less than what the usual amount is. For things like the chocolate cupcake recipe that I'm making right now, it only uses 1 egg or an odd amount of some stuff, so I can't necessarily cut it in half because it wouldn't really work. You could try maybe beating the egg, then pouring half of it into the batter. It's just a bunch of stuff. But so my cupcake recipe for this, it doesn't use brown sugar, but I did end up adding brown sugar for the last couple of times because people do say it makes it more moist, soft, who knows what. But the reason why I'm going to be making all this is, again, to test them out. The chocolate cupcake recipe has always been generally fine for me, so I was just making it to make it so I can see the difference and also try some new flavors, as you might see later into the video. But then for the vanilla, again, just checking out the texture, the taste, the everything, how everything fits with the frosting and everything all together. This is just a whole bunch of tests before I really start giving out the stuff that I'm going to be putting into my business for others outside of my house to try, because I don't think anyone has actually tried my cupcakes or cake recipes in an actual cupcake or cake form before. At least the ones that I like now, the ones that I have now, and the ones that I have here. So it's only been people in my family. But for things like this, it's always hard to tell, should I keep mixing? Should I not keep mixing? Because you don't want to mix it too much, because then it could be overmixed. But then you don't want to mix it too little to where there's still flour particles. But you still want there to be a little bit of lumps, I guess. But so the vanilla, I had to put it back into the oven because it still needs to cook a little bit more. But so here is where I'm going to be testing out some more stuff. I'm making a jam filling. I think I also wanted to make a caramel filling, but either I didn't have heavy cream or I just didn't make it. But basically, the last time I made jam was for my birthday cake. And so for this one, I added a little bit less sugar, I think, because this one is a little bit more tart, which with the cake and the frosting, it was really good, which I'm going to say. And I think I already said this in a short, but I did end up adding a little bit sugar later on, but still it was tart, but it was still sweet. It wasn't super sour. I like sour things anyways, so for me it was great, but it was still a little bit sweet for people who like sweetness. So it does end up being lighter in color when you're first starting, if you put everything together before letting the strawberries diffuse and let all the stuff come out. But as you go on later towards the end, it does become a little bit more red, whether you're going to just blend it up or keep it like this. As you can see, it's darkened into the natural state, because if you look at it before, it looks like it's peach or just really light. And so it's is this how the jam's going to look? But anyways, Now we're going to be cutting into the cupcakes, and I'm going to be doing some of this in slow motion, or not slow motion, but regular motion. And so you can see the actual like moistness and texture. So it did seem to cut in fine. There you can see the crumb. I guess if that does anything for you. It does seem as if this cupcake is a little like, it could be not overbaked. Just the top, it's interesting if you look into it. But it still was soft. I think it was still soft when I last tried it. Again, this was some weeks ago, so I don't necessarily remember. But I think it was fine. It was good. So here I am trying it. Tastes pretty good like it always does. Not really too amazed, just seeing the texture and like really looking closely. Because the thing about testing stuff is that you actually have to eat it a couple different times depending on what you're doing, because you have to try it with like, maybe you're going to be adding in fillings for different flavored frostings, and then you have to just try it with all of those. But anyways, here we are making the frosting. So again, this is regular American buttercream, and I think, did I add around 2 or 3? I think I only made, so I frosted maybe half of them, so maybe 12 cupcakes got frosting. So I just did a smaller amount, so maybe it was either 1/2 to like a couple cups of sugar, or 1 cup to a couple cups of sugar. But I'm using a spoon because I don't really want to use my fingers, since it's kind of hard to do it like that. I'm adding in the jam. This is the next day, so I did put the jam in the fridge, and it didn't like solidify into where it would be thick. I wanted it to be thick enough to where like you could pipe it like I'm doing right now, and there wouldn't actually be strawberry like particles in it. Like you wouldn't feel the strawberry itself, because that's just kind of, I don't like that. Marmalades and all that, I don't like actually tasting the texture of the fruit itself. But here I am trying to practice some rosettes. It didn't really work out. I kind of forgot how to do it, because like, you know, you're supposed to do like an E, but like when I was trying to do the E, it had the gap in the middle, and it was just weird. I was like trying to do like a star in the middle, and then do the swirl on the outside, trying to do like a swirl, but again, still didn't really work. But as I was moving on to these ones, I was starting to figure out how to do it, kind of. But as I move on to these ones, I did scrape off some stuff, trying to do the design one more time. And so I did it very slowly, pushing a little bit harder, and there we go. Ooh la la. And so as you go on to the second ones, I know to just push it a little bit more in the middle and then swirl it around. You see how it looks beautiful and nice. So I did some of the other ones like that, and then I did scrape off some of the other ones that were not looking too nice. And so for these ones, I did try doing that, but I didn't like it. So I went back to the swirl. So the ones that had sprinkles did not have any jam filling, and then the ones that didn't have any sprinkles had jam filling. So here we go. I'm putting on the only sprinkle colors that I have. This is a kind of a set that's like combines together, so it's not like a rainbow or random colors, which can be good, but like sometimes you want some sort of pop from like a rainbow or something. So now we are testing out. So here is the chocolate, and this one has no filling in it. I'm going to be showing how they are all like when I cut into them. So this is what it looks like when I cut into that. Plain simple. And here's what they look like when I cut into all of them. This one had no frosting for these two, but whatever. So let me just say, for the vanilla, it tasted really good just by itself. And with the jam filling, it was so nice. And then with the chocolate, it didn't really fit, but like it really all depends on you and your taste buds. So I did later on in the future make some new cupcakes for vanilla from a different recipe, and let me just say they were much softer, much moister. I think the flavor could be a little bit better because it's not really too much flavor, because it's already not too sweet. But that's the recipe that I might be using as we now go on. So I now have that finalized. And let me just say right now, first spoiler, the chocolate cupcake recipe, I did find another one, which is, again, even more softer from the same person. It was super soft, but like it has an intense chocolate flavor. So either cut down on this chocolate, increase the sweetness, or just make sure that the frosting is like good and powerful, so then it's not like super duper intense chocolatey. It can seem bitter like if you like either eat it by itself or if you like don't really like intense chocolate flavor. But thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, anything you want me to make in the future, tips, feel free to comment down below, and have a blessed week. Bye.